good evening once again, everyone. Welcome to Kaiso Talk. This evening we have royalties, so to speak, in the house. Yes, we have two, and then one will be joining us. And of course, we are going to be having a good time tonight. We're talking Kaiso, and more Kaiso. As I told you earlier on, tonight we'll be joined by, of course, Mr. Eric Taylor, the Pink Panther. We should be joined by Kurt Allen, and of course, in studio with me, the reigning Calypso monarch of Grenada, the man not guilty.
The tongue will slip sometimes, I understand that, you know.
Yeah, that was
a little slip tongue now. Yeah, tight tongue.
But damn tongue is mine.
Yes, I know.
The man Innocent, my colleague, of course, and the man is, as I said, the reigning Calypso monarch. So we welcome all of them to the studio. Of course, Val is with me. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome again to Kaiso Talk. It's a pleasure.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed. I have with me, I hope you picked up the reigning Calypso monarch of Grenada, the man Innocent, Gordon Joseph. You know, I think it might be fair to say that he came out and just swept everyone away. I don't think anybody expected him, but he did what he had to do, and now he is the reigning Calypso monarch. And you know, just like that, I decided to jump in the ring next year because.
as them young people nowadays, I say, I cry.
No, you ain't gonna cry now, you know. Come the March Granite, after they announce the results, then you go cry.
I just cry when I make people see trouble. When I flog my children, sometimes I just cry with them.
Cry. Wonderful. So let's Innocent, we welcome our guests first. Val, how are things going? How I know the tent, well, all the tents should be open now, and the judges should be going around trying to get the guys for the semi-final. How are things going?
Well, things are going fine. I mean, as you say, most of the tents are open, and coming to that time where judges are going around and judging, tabulating, so that results for the semi-finals will be probably out also next week, I guess. By Monday or so, people should know what is happening.
Right.
So yeah, I think things are booming.
Okay, excellent. Mr. Eric Taylor, 2013 Calypso monarch. You have no words tonight, no?
No.
No. Well, you didn't have to travel, so I mean, you should be all right.
Yes.
Right. How is the tent going, Panther? How are things in the tent? I know your tent opened. Was it last week?
Kitchener's review.
Yes.
Last week, Thursday in Arima, and it's going good. We have a good program. It's one of the better programs you would have had for some years. I don't know. You know, it just happened there.
Right.
Everybody just firing on all cylinders this year. So we have a very nice program. In fact, tonight we have a practice for, the judges coming in the tent tomorrow.
Right.
And tonight we have a rehearsal for that. But I choose to stay home and join your program. So enough step.
Okay, that's good. And I see you had Nello firing last week as well.
Yeah, boy. Oh gosh, something else at 93.
Yes.
I would like to see Marshall at 93. But how we perform them songs, I would like to see.
Yeah. No, I want to see Iowa. Iowa want to see in that age.
It's going to be interesting. I wonder if Innocent could make 93. I mean,
Well, I've continuously said I don't want to live to get too old where people have to do things for me and stuff. 105 is all I'm asking for. I don't want to get old, 105 is good for me,
Boy, let me tell you something. A Calypsonian tell me once. In fact, I asked a Calypsonian about a next Calypsonian and life. And he said to me, he said, listen, because there was this rumor going around that this Calypsonian had died. And the other Calypso said to me, let me tell you something. He can't dead now. He have to live long enough to see trouble for all the trouble he make people see.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, but the most important thing, I alive.
Definitely. But Panther, I want to start with you. There is something very significant with you. 50 years in the business. I don't think many people, well, I don't know if people in Greater know that, but 50 years in the business, it is significant. Take us through that journey, Panther. Take a few minutes and take us through that journey.
Well, that journey is something else. Started in 1974, and that year Shadow came out with the bassman, and I come out to play.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a nice way to start the career with that kind of vibes. I started singing in school, and from school, well, when I leave school, I can't sing in the school again. I have to sing in the community. So I started to sing with Skronta, Posa, Matapal. So them guys, good guys, And in 1979, the competition in Sandy Grande, where I'm from, Sandy Grande, that community, Skronta was the defending monarch.
Right.
And that night, I get a good cocktail from me,
Mm-hmm.
And with that, he thought, he just said, boy, you beat me, boy, let me carry you in Tonga, because he was in Tonga already.
Right.
And he carried me to meet Lord Kitchener. And as they just say, God, love at first sight.
Mm-hmm.
From the time Kitchener find out that I just compose, he hold on to me from that time until he passed away.
Okay.
So that was essentially the crux of my journey, because coming into Port of Spain and meeting Kitchener, that is it there, That man mentored me. I mean, he's the father I never had. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Teach me everything. I remember going down by him on a Sunday morning, and he had the Green Sands bottle and showed me how to hold the mic, how to keep the mic by your mouth. He said, because sometimes you're so exuberant, you're singing, but your hand, the mic moving, and so it affecting the quality control of the song. So he taught me from very early, no matter what you're doing, keep that mic by your mouth,
Right. Panther, just hold a second. I want to bring in Val here. There's something you said that kind of got my attention. You said after you beat Skronta say, let me bring you in tongue.
Yeah.
Val, explain that. There had to be something about that.
No, well, I think that Panther came through in an era where the senior bards would look out for young talent.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about ensuring that the talent that they see in the person and presume has had some longevity in the business, they would take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that there would be Calypsonians who would have, when Kitchener sang, let's say, that Green Fig in Arima, back then,
yes,
would have brought him into Port of Spain,
Yes.
And Growling Tiger would have brought Kitchener into Port of Spain.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
that Skronta was doing the same thing. There was that tradition. There wasn't the tradition, of course, of cutthroat and backstabbing, in the business.
Right.
So clearly, Skronta saw talent in this young boy from Grande, and he took care of him. Right?
I get that. What I am not getting, why Port of Spain was where
Port of Spain is the center. Once, wherever you are located in Trinidad, if you're coming from south, if you're in south, you're in Guaya, you're in Mayaro, wherever you are, you have to come to town. Even now, let's say like you have I'm going off here. Even now, where you have a kind of propensity of vagrancy in Trinidad, you have to end up in Port of Spain, almost to be recognized.
So Port of Spain was it? You had to come in tongue.
Port of Spain is the Mecca, is the center.
According to Croco, come in tongue and we'll see.
You want to make it, you have to come in tongue. You cannot be the king of Calypso or anything. The only thing you could probably be king of and stay in Grande is to fight.
Right.
Yeah. But any other thing, you have to come in tongue.
Excellent. And I guess with everything and the Caribbean, there is the little cultural aspect of things. The special kind of talk that goes very deep, and it means something very significant. Because if you ain't get to tongue, but you clearly.
Yeah. I'm longing for the day when this changes. Decentralized things. In Grenada, for example, if you look at the crowd participation in, let's say, the stadium when there's a Calypso event, and make that comparison to when it was in Sea Moon, and in recent times they had the Semi in Progress Park, you look at that outcome. Historically, I think that people from the rural communities were most supportive to the Calypso, right? The villages came out because they had their bard in it. We ain't have much of that in town.
But here's the interesting thing. Unlike Trinidad, in tongue is where it at.
Tongue the action is.
And in Grenada, it is widely accepted that Calypso does better in the country or the rural areas, as we call it.
When you say country, that you're referring to Mike and Andrew Jerome. We always had this toss up about you come out in the country. I say, yeah, you too.
I have no problem with it. But Panther, let's continue. So you went into tongue, you met Kitch. How was it then as a young fella? So you got a tongue, Kitchener, I guess the Sparrow, people like Duke and so.
You will touch a nerve there that I think we could elaborate a little. You see, the thing about it, you can't, and innocent, a man is innocent until proven guilty.
Of course.
That is it.
Of course.
The thing about it, the country and the tongue is commerce, you might have a good talent in the country, but there is no commerce. There is no crowd. There is no money.
The dollars and day. Yeah, the dollars and day.
This is why Grenada, not because I'm a Grenada station here, Grenada has contributed immensely to Calypso, and you come to Port of Spain because Port of Spain and Trinidad were doing better at the time in terms of the oil boom and things like that. So you gravitate to where you could get the dollar. You understand? But I never underscore that Trinidad is no land and no Calypso. Because most of the great Calypsonians come from out of Trinidad.
Yeah.
That is the fact, But in my case, it started in Sani Grande and Scott up bringing me to Port of Spain to meet Kitchener. What I would have experienced is a step in. You have some Calypsonians today, they're taking the elevator. They're not coming in and because
look one here, look.
That is so untrue.
But no, Panther, look one here. Listen, he just
talent is talent. I'm not saying no, but there's a certain progression that you can't escape in terms of the art form. You have to go through certain things to understand the thing, So I thank God that in the 50 years, and I still learning, was able to move along the steps to go start in school, go in the community, beat up Scrunta came with a tongue. I get to meet Kitchener, I get to meet Duke, I get to meet Pretender, I get to meet Bomber, I get to meet them fellas, So I learn it as I go along. So I Force Right, then Calypsonian, then, I am.
You don't know elevator Calypsonian. Like my partner.
Innocent jokes, but I mean, if somebody good, they're good.
Yeah.
And you will come to tongue, but don't get tied up. You have to learn certain things about the craft too, to really be that well-rounded Calypsonian, so to speak.
Right. But Val, let me come in here. So he mentioned community and specifically Kitchener. Now, in the Caribbean, when we talk Kaiso, there are certain names that is in a certain caliber. The Kitch, the Sparrow. Well, Kitch and Sparrow in particular, there seemed to have been something there. Was there a sort of separation in terms of talent or how should I put it? I'm trying to find a way to describe it. So you had Kitchener and then you had Sparrow, and of course you had some Calypsonians who seem to have gravitated to Kitch, and then you had some who seem to have gravitated to the Sparrow line. Was there something in there that we can?
That's easier than the what you're trying to as complex as it is. Mm-hmm. What happened is that Kitchener represented what was, let's say, the old brigade.
Right.
You know? At Kitchener, you had Pretender. You know, you could put what is his name inside of their Terror.
Right.
And others as part of the old brigade. Mm-hmm. So that when Kitchener migrated to London, 47, 48, right? He would have basically been the leader of the old brigade, right? And Sparrow, being born in 35, was making his presence in 56. Kitchener was out of the country.
Okay.
Right, so that for the young ones, you know, I mean, like my dad and son who born 33, Sparrow born 35, in their early 20s, Sparrow was the new kid on the block, the hero, right? Mm-hmm. Kitchener born 22, right? Was not the favorite of the people who were born in 1930s,
right?
That kind of thing.
In the later years. Mm-hmm.
So that there was not, in a sense, a rivalry between the two, but clearly two different camps.
Okay.
Right. As Sparrow mentioned in Dina, you know, we are the glamour boys again. The young, hot, fresh, young fellas were coming to claim their space, not only in Calypso, but as he said, you know, in that third verse in Gina and Dina, when the Yankees gone,
Sparrow take over.
These young fellas would take over town. So that that manifested itself in Calypso. And apart from that, you know, you also have the melody factor that Sparrow would have learned from Melody. Melody was a kind of bridge between the old and the new generation. Mm-hmm. So that was the scenario in Calypso at the time.
That is, if I may chip in here, that is what I was thinking. Sparrow and Kitchener, two legends in their own right, but it seems to me that they had different styles of bringing across their messages. Sparrow, to me, seemed to have been more aggressive lyrically, dealing with the issues, the current issues in a more pronounced, biting way, whereas Kitchener seemed to have a mellower tone, you know, melody-wise, and the reason why. Go ahead.
You know, you could again. Kitchener was coming from country. Arima at the time of Kitchener's birth and all of that was country.
Right.
Anything after probably the city lighthouse, but anything after Sour, because I'm from Sour. Anything after Sour was country. You know, so that Kitchener was coming from country, Arima was country. The personality in terms of growing up in the country as opposed to growing up in the town.
Right.
Sparrow grew up, you know, in Laventille. You know, so that last week when we talk about, you know, shantytown people and so on, he was basically saying, well, look, you know, it had decent people in Laventille, although one see Laventille as depressed. He was saying that Laventille have decent people, and I grew up in this community of decent, hard-working people, and these vagabonds from the other side of the fence were coming and invading the space and that thing. So that you had a different personality. It's not about brash and thing, but different personalities in terms of located in the town, located in the country. And even today, in terms of people's personality, that Rudder, who is Belmont, is different from Scrunter, who is Grandy,
yeah.
or Panther, who is Grandy. And those things pertain. You know, you can't get away from that.
Right, but in a sense, let's juxtapose that to the Grenada scenario and go back to the early years. And so very early you had well, we ain't going back as far as Bomber and Melody because I didn't born yet. I didn't born yet.
If you didn't born yet, I was not even in liquid form yet.
You wouldn't have thought.
I wasn't yet.
But So we hearing from them. You seeing two lines of Calypsonians, maybe from the Kitchener line and then later on the Sparrow line as thinking up. And in Grenada, so we had people like Darky and Flying Turkey, and then we had people like the African Teller and a Jamo, Black Wizard, Praying Mantis. You don't seem to see that here. What they are referring to.
If you look in my humble opinion, if you look deep enough, right? For example, let's look at Praying Mantis, Patrick, coming from Shantimel. Okay, there's a cultural zone there that's different to what you would find from Flying Turkey. Although Flying Turkey was telling me that his roots really is from Victoria, but he moved forward. There is still that. Even the phrasing, all right, they had a different twang. For example, if you listen to Mantis and my good friend the late Scorpion, there was some differences.
Yes, they were different.
Yeah. So it, in my opinion, I think it has to do with the culture of the vicinity you're coming from, your dialect, the way you emphasize on certain things. Somebody from Pulse would tell you, go to hell. Someone would tell you, somebody from Laborie would tell you, boy, you belong in hell. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, I got you. So Panther, we're coming back to you. I mean, this is really interesting. So you got to Tongue and you met Kitch and you met some of the other Calypsonians and you started to develop and to to build your craft and to do your stuff. You also said that you were composing, and when Kitch realized that you were a composer, he grabbed onto you and he wouldn't let go. Why was that so? Why was that so?
Well, he always advocated that a true Calypsonian must be able to compose and perform the song. He always advocated that. Whilst he had nothing for those who could go and give people different talents and things, right? He had no problem with that. If you could sing, you could sing. But if you could sing and compose, he would have a greater respect for you as a Calypsonian, But one thing about Kitchener I would like to say here to the people of Grenada and who listen here. He's been credited with a lot of things, Road Match King and kind of thing. One of the things that I think he's not credited for is building an institution, building that Calypso tent, because as Valton rightly said, when he came back from England, Sparrow was the man in town, though. Everybody going down by Sparrow tent, you understand?
That was the Young Brigade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kitchener tent, nobody ain't coming there, the patronage is very small, and Kitchener built that. He built that review around 1965 coming up, and it's still open.
Yeah.
And to me, that is phenomenal and unprecedented.
It is.
And need to be credited for that.
That is like the UE of Calypso.
Yes.
Yeah, the UE of Calypso.
All this existing tent in the world, you know what I mean? And Kitchener, let me give you the secret with that. You and Kitchener could be how good. If your song is not good, you're not going on that stage, Kitchener was very, very particular with the program. Now we lamenting that people ain't coming to the tent, because the program is not attracting them. You understand? We have to focus on the program and make sure you can't stop a good program. You understand? Yes, marketing and all them things is factors that have to come into play. But the program itself, it must be good.
Right.
And Kitchener build that review by building good program. If Kitchener here, it have a Calypsonian named Lord Pharaoh in Bish, have a good song. He leaving Diego Martin and driving up in Bish to find that man, You understand? But now, like, everybody could sing and everybody's singing, and a man singing a song and you don't know what he's singing about, and he 4 or 5 verses and he's boring the people and he's vexed because the people are not coming. But Kitchener, I would like us to give him them flowers for creating an institution called the Calypso Review at a tent that's still going on up to today.
Eric, I want to ask you this. I always wondered why. Why did he call the tent the Calypso Review?
Well, I think That is an English thing on him now. Remember,
Yeah, he spent a lot of years in England.
Yeah. So that review thing was kind of synonymous with entertainment, and like how America had the Broadway and taking a review, the Kitchener's Calypso review. I think that would have influenced the name of the review.
Right. There's something. Well, I think Kurt Allen has joined us. Kurt, good evening. Welcome. I think you're muted. Your microphone is muted.
Turn on your mic.
I'm good now?
Yes. Excellent. Welcome to Kaiso Talk.
Sorry for my late entry, but I had to go to the Classic Russo Calypso 10 tonight, so I just got back.
That's all right. That's all right. So we basically talking Kaiso. Panther celebrating 50 years as just being, taking us through the journey, and just to bring you in quickly in the conversation. When did you first get to meet Panther, Kurt?
I met Panther from an early, we're talking about the 90s, 1990, 91, around that period. But I really got to know the man, Panther, when I became a member of the Kitchener's Calypso Review tent in 1983.
Right.
And what was special in the memory, in those days, it's very, dealing with probably 50, 60 Calypsonians who are the prime. And everybody wants to be on that stage and deserves to be on that stage. And me being a newcomer, when I get to the tent, I will always see my name not on the list. This is serious. The first person, two people I will go to is, well, the first thing is that Panther, when you see Panther, you see Kitchener.
Right.
So I didn't have to complain to Kitchener. I would just be walking and Panther would come and say, Kurt, what happened? I said, Panther, my name Nani program. He said, don't worry, Kurt, hold on. He go and talk to Kitchener, and then by the time I make the corner and come back inside, my name is on that program. And this is the true. Panther, you know that?
Of course.
Very.
And that cast, it was for Panther.
So Kurt, you still part of the Kitchener's Review, the tent?
No, unfortunately, what happened? I left the Kitchener's Review to join another institution, the Roy Cape All Stars.
Right.
And that was, it was a conflict because most of the times the band would be in a fete when the tent is going on. And I had to make a choice, and I decided to stick with Roy Cape, and I never went back to the tent as such.
Okay, wonderful. So we're gonna come back to your Kurt in a little bit, to hear a little bit of your journey. But 50 years is significant. So Panther, we're coming back to you, and Val, you need to ask Panther some questions. You're all in Trinidad, you know everything about Panther that I don't know. So ask Panther questions so we can get to find out everything about Panther. We want to know.
Hold on, Val. Before you start asking him, Panther waiting on him. As you say that, you see Panther give me kind of Panther look. Panther will be saying, "Come with it."
Indeed. So all right. So let me go again at you, Panther. Been in the review, and of course, year come, year go, you there doing your stuff, doing your songs. Let's talk a little bit about the competition, because this is very significant and it always creates talk. Over the years, as you sang and maybe you probably didn't get through, because you only selecting 10 or 11 people to the final. How was it for you? Did you at any time feel frustrated? Because 50 years is a long time to be doing this. Did at any time frustration stepped in and you decided, you know what, boy, I can't make that.
That's really
I give up.
Yeah, many times, boy. Especially when you feel you have a good song. When they pick the semi-final, you don't see your name. You say, "Let me done with this thing," because it's a hoot, because you feel you have a good song. I guess everybody feel you have a good song.
Right.
I remember in 1990 when I sang Misprint and the Truth About the Black Boy. Two now in hindsight, a powerful combination. And they pick 30 Robert Calypsonian, and they pick that, Kitchener went and protest, I didn't really remember. Kitchener went and lead a protest for me to get in the semi-final,
Yes.
and I made the final. You understand? Kitchener called Penguin, because Penguin was the Tuco president at the time.
Right.
And he said, Penguin, all you leave out my boy. And Penguin said, well, there's nothing I can do. Kitchener said, well, if there's nothing you could do, there is something I could do. And Kitchener led a delegation that morning after all them TV stations and the crowd and the people started to think up and so I get in the semi-final, you know. So sometimes you just feel like they are against you or some kind of thing. But I get thank God, I get past that feeling of I don't care who like me, who like me, I know what I know. Kurt Allen, I must say to the brother on the air here, Kitchener didn't put you on the program because I tell him to put you, you know. Kitchener put you because you deserve to go on. Kitchener always say that boy is a renderer. He said that boy is a renderer. He could render Calypso. You understand? Kitchener had great respect for you. And whether you went to the Royal Cape or wherever you go, you will always be a reviewite.
Like that word.
Let me juke a little thing here. I go juke something here. I like the juke thing. So Panther, I mean, you sang all these years. I mean, and you just spoke about Kitchener leading protest to get you into the semi-finals, and you've been there years before Kurt Allen. And in 2010, Kurt Allen come win the crown, and you still didn't win a crown yet.
No. I feel like I could have won in 98. But, everything is in that time. And Kurt Allen time was, that time. And, he was always, in my opinion, he was always a king before he was a king. You understand?
Right.
And in 2010, they just tried it, But he was always there. He called himself the last Bajan of Calypso. You know that?
But Panther,
yeah.
It's important to know that when you won the crown, finally, I came second.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
You came second, but you bring Stalin on the stage. I remember you bring Stalin. I bring Kitchener in the box. You didn't know that, eh? You know that tonight, eh? That was a great final, boy. That was a great final.
So Panda, let's just take a little break from you and let's bring in Kurt. Kurt Allen, let's talk about your entry into the Calypso business. How did you get involved? And let's talk a little bit about the journey as well.
I entered from the nursery stage in terms of the junior Calypso competition. So I started off in the juniors, worked my way into what they call the junior Young Kings. That was the NJAC's version. Because when you finished the junior competition at age 16, there was no avenue, nowhere for a young Calypsonian to be. It was difficult to get into the tents, difficult to compete in the Calypso Mona competitions. So they created a platform for the junior Young Kings. So I stayed there for a while, then I moved on to Young Kings, and actually performing as the Young King Monarch at the semi-finals of in the Fiesta. That's when Kitchener, I met the Lord Kitchener. When I came off stage, he sent for me and he embraced me and he said, young fella, you're singing with me.
Yeah.
The moment I've always been waiting for is either your anointment will either come from the Lord Kitchener or the Mighty Sparrow.
Right.
I mean, the Lord Kitchener is on the top of the pinnacle at the mountain, so at the mountain. So that's when it really took off for me. But prior to that, I was a member of the New Wave Calypso tent, which was a government tent, and that was run by or led by the all-rounder. And that's where I met a lot of the Calypsonians that today, who have, I would say, but was there to nurture the composing ability, nurture the way I carried myself. People like Tigress, Manchild, Hamidullah. You know the list.
Yes.
And those were the people who sort of guided and nurtured my career. When I went to the tent, first timers were like people like Kenny J, El Drago, Dakron was a member of the tent. So I got the foundation from there. So that's I would say I came through the ranks. I would say that I paid my dues. I followed all these footsteps. All the directives that the older ones would say, you need to do this to be a Calypsonian, you need to dress like this, you need to sing this type of songs. Pretender would always come and tell me, the spade. He said, you're not using the spade tonight. And when I use the spade that I come off now, you say you use the spade. You know,
what does that mean? Using the spade?
The spade is taking the hand like this. When you're singing, you say, please tell the people what your nation needs to hear. So you need to crouch your neck and use the spade.
All that? All that?
Yeah, man. I know Pantan understands exactly what I'm saying. Of course.
Right.
Pretender would come to the tent every night, even though he was not a member of the cast at Kitchener's tent. You will always see Pretender and Terror every night. Dressed as if they're ready for the stage and guiding the young ones, especially me. They would do a lot of talking to me, both of them.
Right. Excellent. Kurt, your choice of songs. What guides your compositions?
Well, as a composer, I write all the time, so that at the end of any given year, I will have personally 12 or 13 songs that I would, say from this bunch I would like to sing. Out of those songs, I would look at to see what is at the pulse of the people. What are people really talking about? Sometimes I wouldn't even go with the pulse of the people. I would sometimes play the person and say, okay, I think this is what the people need. So I will probably do a song that some people say, boy, that song gone over my head, or that song, that song seems futuristic. But I always kind of go with the pulse of what I feel is needed at the point in time to be relevant and timely. So that is what guides in terms of what I decide to sing or present on any given year. Okay,
excellent. In competition now with you, have you felt what Panda felt? I mean, years you've done, and I've followed a lot of your songs, and there's some really great ones. My favorite, of course, is Bright. I love it. When I'm in my zone and the system in Grenada fret me, I just play that all the time. I just play that all the time. So. But have you felt the frustration sometimes with the whole art form and what's happening?
I mean, in general, any given profession, whether you're a journalist, a police officer, a teacher, a doctor, you're going to always feel some sort of unease with your profession. At times you will say, well, maybe I could have done something else. But that doesn't diminish the love or respect and the dedication that you have for it. In my case, sometimes when, as Panther say, well, in my case, I've qualified a lot for competitions. Sometimes when I didn't qualify, I understood why. But sometimes on the night, when the results come out and you don't get that result that you're looking for, you tend to feel a lot of disappointment. But for me personally, when I went back, sometimes when I look back at the same performance or the winner, I would always say, that person really deserved to win. I really didn't win that night. Or, I was lucky to even come second that night,
Right.
Based on I know that I could have done over the mistakes or error that I may have committed. So it's always a learning lesson, one that tells you that you never really know what the next year will bring. You might be hot this year and everybody calling your name, and next year nobody even taking you on.
Right.
We have seen that happen to almost everybody in the art form. That's just the cycle of things. God bless different people at different times and give the messages to different artists to convey. And if we understand it from that perspective, man, right now I'm so happy because I'm seeing some of these young ones like Young Brother, and
yes.
A lot of young ones just coming and really, really doing some nice things, man. Something like veterans, and that is what we're looking for, and that's what I'm for.
Right. I want to come home now. Innocent. Well, I know you've been around. You've in the Calypso thing for a while, and I know I'm familiar with some of your struggles and so. But let's talk a little bit about your journey, how you got in, and to where you are today.
Well, I'm happy you asked me because you made some in computer programming. We see you declare some variables up front, and like I just came in this thing. Really and truly, I was born a Calypsonian.
Right.
Yeah. I remembered as a youngster going to the Tivoli RC school. I grew up in a church home, right? Born and bred in the church, grew up in church. But we have Tivoli Harvest, which was like one of the biggest celebrations.
Thing. Oh yes, definitely.
And I would have been maybe in standard 3 and 4, and you go in the Harvest, and they have this jam session, and whenever Calypso music played, that time it wasn't soca yet, Calypso.
Yeah.
That was my time for dancing. And I would never forget that. There's a young, she's older than I am, but at the time she was on Tivoli RC. Her name is Sonia. I think she's in New York now. She watched me dance. She was a senior to me. She said, boy, you're a Calypsonian? I said, why you ask that? In that kind of tone. She said, the way you're whining and getting on there, I said, because Calypso was me. And I've always been a listener of Calypso. Like I said, I grew up in church, right? Strict parentage and so forth. I sang in Gospel Splash 1990. By that time, I just turned man, start teaching and everything like that. And Bernstein and I started hanging, and Bernstein was into the extempo Calypso.
Yes.
And Bernstein tell me, watch now, go and sing Calypso, let's go down by Trevor Friday. So I go and I write a song. I could never forget that two songs. Granny was the first one I wrote. Is you are talking to? Where the hell you feel that old to talk to you? That's the song of our old grandmother lecture into she young grandson. The young boy saying, Granny, I just want to have some fun, but before she could, I can't remember it now because that's since 90. And the other one was the cock dead. The cock dead.
A car bongs it?
at that time, I know I kill it. But any case, I'm Bernstein lineman because I'm 17 now, started teaching, and I recording the song, but still going to church. So my songs record, and I'm so active in charge of the youth and everything in the church. I know to go and tell mommy I'm singing Kaiso. So I went to mommy. I said, Mommy, I'm going to sing Calypso. She said, is you singing Calypso? I said, yeah. She said, so God, what go up to the church? I said, well, I didn't know, but I'm going to sing Calypso. I said, as a matter of fact, I record the song already, All I want now is the name. She said, well, Innocent. You don't know what you're about, you innocent. And that is how the name came about, and that was in 90. However, I was mostly focusing on MCing.
Right.
I had developed a sense of humor, and that worked for me. So I continued emceeing, and every now and then I would do a song. I remembered there's something that Panther said with Kitchener, no matter how good you are, no matter how good you think you are, if your song and match up, you ain't singing. I remember the year I left up here. Go down to Trinidad by Kenny Phillips. Go in Palmis by Kenny Phillips and thinking I have a big song. And when I reached there, Kenny tell me, he say, Innocent, you have to go up and get a song, I ain't recording that. And I say, Kenny, are people playing and coming? He say, yeah, but I ain't recording that. You understand? But I kept coming, trying to compose, but don't have the depth. So ever so often I would look for guys that could write. I've worked with the best out of Trinidad. I've worked with GB. I've worked with Winsford Divins. I've worked with Christoph Grant. I've worked with Alvin Daniel and so forth. But still, although I would have good songs now and then, singing Calypso, I love Calypso, but the singing aspect of it wasn't my focal point at the time. I prefer the MC.
Yeah, right.
But every now and then, my winning the crown last year, that was the 4th or 5th time I made it to the final. But the times I made it to the final, it's not like it was intentional, as Panther and Kurt would say. They in it, they writing the big songs and so forth. I just happened to have 2 good songs, and I entered the competition and I made it to the semis and into the final. But Calypso has always been in my blood. Folks always tell me, you and all sometimes tell me, oh, I imitating Sparrow. Not necessarily imitating Sparrow, but I grew up listening to Sparrow music, and for some reason we seem to have a similar voice. You understand? So it comes up. But of course, if I have to idolize, I would idolize the best.
But of course, I don't understand what you're telling me. But
you know what I'm saying?
If you want to follow, you have to follow something.
Something the best, of course.
Val, I want to bring you in now. And I know you're familiar with a lot of the greater Calypsos and Calypsodians. Let's line them up. And I'm talking about not individual Calypsos per se, but the art form. in Grenada and in Trinidad, in terms of the compositions, do you see similarities? Of course, political calypsos, they would deal with issues with politics and so, but in terms of material, do you see what's the similarities you see and probably differences?
Well, the similarities is that all Calypsonians would look at their social environment and create from that space, whether it is political, whether there are social commentaries, whether it is comedy, they would create. So that happens in Grenada, it happens in Guyana, it happens all over the Caribbean where calypso is composed. The difference is that in Trinidad, you have a different kind of social milieu happening where the language of the calypso changes, so that it is no you can look at calypsonians who have migrated from Grenada. Bomber came to Trinidad already singing calypso, even though he was probably about 14 or 15 years old.
Yeah,
you know. Valentino of Paro was just born in Grenada. He probably came from Grenada from 2 years old, right? And the Island Pride and so on. But they would come to Trinidad and hone their skills, sharpen their instrument in terms of the language of the calypso, right? So that I think that Trinidad, and what pertains in Trinidad, sharpens the voice of the calypsonian differently to what happens in Grenada. I'm not saying that Grenada is substandard in any way. It's just that the different territorial environments demand different things,
right?
You know, and you see and you hear that in the music. I just want to add one other thing in terms of that I've heard, as Innocent say, you know, coming to Trinidad to record, and I've heard work done by Grenadians who recorded in Grenada, and my personal feeling is that they should stay home and record, because there's a kind of pulse, an understanding of the music that the local producers give to the music,
right,
that just does not happen when they come to Trinidad.
Right.
You know, the arrangement might be good, you know, chord-wise and other things and so on, and the technical aspect, but when it comes back home, it does not have the pulse to move people in the same way as if they recorded at home.
Right.
That is my perspective.
Okay.
But let me just chip in there, and you are so correct, because I remembered in the earlier years when Talpre took Trinidad by storm and so forth. I remembered having a conversation with Kenny Phillips, and he was saying that Grenada has a sound, not a song, a sound, and that was unique. And you remembered Marshall Montano actually did a song that time. Rhythm Mix was kicking a storm, Nodley with the Fat Tracks, and Marshall did a song that was, I was almost of the opinion that Marshall came by Rhythm Mix to do that song. Get Mad. You remember that song?
Yes, yeah, I remember that. Yes.
Everything was like Rhythm Mix, and it argues with what Kenny was saying, that Grenada had a sound. You look at Talpre doing collabs with what's her name again? He and not Allison. He and someone from Trinidad did a song together, and
was it Nadia? Was it Nadia or Patrice? One of them.
He did one with Nadia. Yeah, Nadia. And the difference, in my opinion, with Trinidad, right? Grenada is moving in that direction now, but the Trinidadians had a different approach to calypso and music, right? In my opinion, they saw it more business-like. You don't get an artist, even in the earlier years, in the early 90s when I go to Trinidad. I remember going to a show in Carapachima where Sonny Mine was performing. And little fellas with the songs that I call small songs, they would not come and do a blay.
Right.
But we have Grenadian artists who just was looking for the recognition, so they're willing to come and just sing. The business approach to it wasn't there. But now we're seeing that is changing. Maybe not as fast as it should, but it is changing.
Panther, there is something about in the early years with Calypso, and I noticed it a lot with the bomber, even Kitsch, in many times when in doing a Calypso, the first line of the Calypso is always done twice.
Kitsch likes that.
What about that? Is there something about that with the Calypso? Maybe, and Kurt, you could jump in here too.
Well, that was a style that people still use it. It was more prevalent long ago, where you start your song and you repeat the first line. I guess it's for emphasis.
Right.
You remember Calypso had a basis in war, what we just call extempo and thing and picong and thing. And when you start your thing, you have to repeat it for them to understand where you're coming from. You understand?
Right.
Calypso come from a large way from picong. It's a war. So the Calypsonian chant well when you open up, you're going to give one line and you have to repeat that line. Listen to me, man.
I'm telling you.
But before I was listening to what you were saying there, the peculiarity of the different islands, it cannot be underestimated, Grenada has its song, that St. Vincent has the song. And to me, this is what makes us peculiar as a region. I remember we doing a show in Toronto with Kurt Allen, Inspector. Could you remember that show?
Yes.
That's what James show.
Yes. Royal Lion.
And you have Royal Lion, Papa Troops. You had all those different songs of the Caribbean on one stage. And boy, that was a show. Kurt Allen was at his best. Because I was kind of frightened for him, Because I was kind of taking, them kind of song where they just sing the outside they want that,
Yeah.
If you see how Kurt Allen combined that Canadian audience then, and Inspector and everything, it was nice. So whilst we uphold and see the peculiarity with the song, and I know this is one of Kurt peeve, because I had a meeting with him and a guy from Dominica at the Trinidad Hilton.
Yes.
And that is something that we need to really pursue, the integration of the Caribbean. Calypso is a real potent vehicle for that. You understand? Calypso, where the politicians in the Caribbean come failing, Calypso has that ability to bring us together as a people, And I recall that meeting at Hilton, and Kurt, that was one of your peeves, and I share that peeve up to today.
Kurt, I want to go now to 2010. That Kaiso, They're Too Bright. Let's talk about that, Kaiso. Mind you, that's one of my favorite calypsos. They're Too Bright. Let's talk about that calypso, the composition, your preparation, going to that competition, how you felt. Did you think you could have done it that night? Let's talk a bit about that.
Well, let's start it off again. As you know, that was probably the first time that I entered the competition with a sobriquet, last version of Calypso. Even though I sang a song called The Last Version, that was the first time I used the sobriquet. And I want to just make mention that the persona, that character that you saw that calls himself The Last Version, that character was really birthed from a play that I saw sometime in 2001 or 2002, somewhere that era, that was done by Mr. Matthews, Walter Matthews. I don't know if you remember, you did a play for Best Village Group.
Best Village,
Right. And Dog had this persona, he's the badger, and he dressed up and came out in a particular way. Even the person who acted the role, Dog, he was the person doing all my outfits down. He was the person sewing all my outfits, my tailor.
Right.
For all the badger eras, And that particular song was birthed from the spirit of badgernism, in terms of being that voice when it appeared that no one was prepared to be a voice against a particular political group. Where you find the Calypsonians, once that group is in power, the Calypso fraternity seems to get numb. As we saw for the past 10 years, leading up to now. And it's the same spirit that was saying, no man, somebody has to say something. A Calypsonian is somebody who says what needs to be said sometimes. A Calypsonian is somebody who represents some people, some of the people, but a griot says it all the time, and a griot represents all the people. And that is what Bajan represented in terms of the spirit of being a Bajan. So I came there to represent the voice of the people, because the people were saying that they weren't satisfied with us living in 2010, but operating like if it's in 1910 in terms of the poverty levels, the crime, the lifestyle of people in terms of the social standings and stuff. And that is what that song represented, saying that, okay, all these people who are the leaders, who got all these university degrees and they're bright, they're too bright. It comes like the brightness, like when a light blinding you. So they're so bright that the light started to blind your eyes and blinded their own vision in terms of what they set out to do for the country and the road that they wanted to take. The people found that they were taking a different course, and that's what that song represented.
Right. And going to the competition, when you of course was selected into the final, and you must have looked back at some of the other competitors, listen to their songs, kind of weigh things, and because you're going there, of course you want to win. Did you think you had that chance, or you had that edge that you were on that night you were going to be the man?
I mean, I don't want to sound cocky or anything like that, or overconfident or anything like that. But honestly, I really thought that I was going to win on that night. When I looked at the other artists and weighing the song, the power of the song and the mood of the country is more like what the mood of the country was saying. I thought that the other songs wasn't really representing the mood at that time. Probably a year before or a year after, those songs would have been more relevant and timely. But at that particular time, the elections wasn't carded for probably 2 years after. And that song was done in February, and by May, election was called. So then, I want to believe that some of the things that was said in the song, struck a certain chord and probably, a certain nerve. And the people reacted in the same way, like this is, the song said it all. We need a change, and we need a change now. And within 2 months, we saw a change of government. Right.
Interesting, because the Calypsonian and Gypsy said it in one of his songs. The Calypsonian, you can make government strong, you can take government down, you can, the Calypsonian can do all of that. Panther, in 2013, you came with Travel Woes, and there was this beautiful spin on the whole thing of the ship, and you could have found everything else except one ship, the leadership. Let's talk a little bit about that one.
Well, just as Kurt said, the mood of the people have a big say on the night, the mood of the people, the mood of the country. In 2010, the records will show the incumbent government lost 29-12. They don't lose by them kind of numbers. You understand? So Kurt was right in what he was saying, and that is another thing too. Calypsonians have a role to play in society. It's just that they don't listen to us. You understand? They don't listen to us. We are the pulse. Kurt Allen in 2010, he was on the pulse of the nation. In 2013, when it was 3 years into the new government, and they weren't performing with any kind of credibility in terms of the doing things. So the people went back then. And they was glad to hear that I looking for the leadership. So there's a synergy between the mood of the people and what you're saying. So Kurt Allen is right. And if people listen to the Calypsonians in Grenadians and Vincent, listen to them. Not everything is jump and wave, Listen to them. Shorty, I sang a song about watch out my children. It wouldn't play on the radio at all. And we have so much ills in our society, in our country, that Calypso could treat to it. Maybe it's only Godfrey just play Calypso.
Panther, no, I beg to differ. That song you called it, I usually fit your rash shorty. I watch out my children and them thing and them. I always do that. Sometimes I start my programs with that.
Nice.
No. Very interesting. Val, let's talk a little bit about the the different types of calypsos over the years that has really done well and dominated. And generally, people love political commentaries. Well, the politician is the friend of the calypsonian, but the calypsonian is not the friend of the politician. Could you agree with me?
I agree, 100%. but listen, don't forget that Panther is also a politician. Huh?
Yeah, I know. Listen. I hope you're not trying to portray that Panther like himself, you know, because. No, but yeah, Val. People tend to gravitate to the political commentary. They like the picong, they like when the calypsonians letting the politicians have it. But of course, there are other songs, more on the social side that deal with, social issues that affect people other than political issues. How do you weigh them in terms of reach? Then of reach, how they penetrate, how they influence society and what happens?
Yeah, I think Kurt said it, both all the calypsonians on the platform, that it is about the pulse. There are things that are out there, whether it is political by nature, and all things are political, even social commentary that does not necessarily deal with the politics or call the politician's name, so that all things are social commentaries. But the particular topic that touches the pulse, that people can respond to, sometimes it's not necessarily the song that wins. I think if you look at the history of Calypso, I can easily call, let's say, two songs, let's say by Sandra, Die With My Dignity, the War, or three, The War and Voices from the Ghetto, right? They all touch on certain kinds of pulse and nerve and the people responded to them. She did not win the crown with Die With My Dignity or the War, but they have remained, very significant songs in terms of the output of Calypso, and you continue to have that, right? So that once the Calypsonian, and Kurt said it, is honest about his delivery. It is not fabricated, right? I'm happy that the Bajan came from that play. Beside the Dry River when the Calypsonians were speaking on behalf of his people, the fact that he was working CPEP but singing calypso and singing a particular type of calypso and so on, and that is the role of the calypsonian. I think that and it's very pertinent that the young ones who are coming up understand where calypso was located and is located, in terms of why they should probably continue to sing particular topics. And it's not really in the pursuit of just the prize, but really singing from their heart and touching people with what some of the things that are out there. There is a trend that is sending people down a road and saying, well, you need to sing this because you would win the money, whatever the money is. But you must also lessen the edge of the calypso to pacify certain groups in the society and so on and so on. But the calypsonian has always been, or started as the voice of the yard. And the yard speaks to certain things in a particular way. It is either you remain true to the yard, or you call yourselves probably something else. But once you are part of that tradition of speaking on behalf of community, then you would remain sharp and you would remain on point with your message, whether it is political or whether it is social.
Right. Excellent. Innocent, anything you want to jump in here with before we continue?
I just try to figure it out from a Trinidad context, right? I've performed in the tents in Trinidad. I performed the Crow tent in 2015 or 2016. Okay, together with what's his name? The guy that is visually impaired again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Lingo. Quite a number of the guys, Bali and all those guys. But from a competition context, right? Which of the songs do better in Trinidad? Would you say political commentaries or social commentaries in the competition?
I don't think it's you can't categorize it like that. As you come back to whichever song resonates, whether it is social or political, definitely in an election year, if you sing a particular song that is political, it would resonate, or if you have that Kurt song in 2010, is it political or social commentary? It's social commentary. Is Panther's song a political song? It's social commentary. They are all social commentaries. Maybe if you Aloe's song with the weather vein, that hocus pocus kind of thing, and how it affects the country because you change the weather vane on the Red House, right? Is it social commentary or political?
Yeah.
So that you have to probably understand those things, but it is really about what is happening out there on the ground and how the Calypsonian is able to tap into that to make the nation or the nations across the Caribbean, aware of situations and they respond to it.
So in essence, it's kind of the mood of the people.
Mm-hmm.
It's the mood, always.
But I'll tell you something too. If I would just comment on this, a lot of times I believe it has to do with the perception of the audience or the people. If you're perceived, let's say if a particular Calypsonian is perceived to be a political commentator, they would miss that Calypsonian singing a social commentary, so to speak, and winning the crown, I'll give you a typical example. If you come to Grenada, one of the things you hear, for example, let's say about Scholar, they would tell you that Scholar only singing politics to win crown. And if you look back at the 10 crowns that he won, you would probably realize that 8 out of the 10 were not non-political songs,
Whole what?
And no, it's
whole what is one of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the question needs to be asked. I mean, what is a political song?
Right. I mean, and excellent. And I think for in local terms, when you're giving the politician blues, so to speak. So when you're giving a politician blues, there's right.
When you are calling their name.
Yeah, when you're calling their name and you're letting them have it. You know what I mean? So when you tell a politician, for example, listen, we call this person that, and we call this person that, and all this kind of thing, is your turn now. Take it. It's your turn now.
Yeah.
Take it. That's a political song.
Or another way is you're telling the politician, when we were telling this one that and that one that, you were happy.
Yeah.
No, it's their turn to laugh.
Take that.
As you went down that road, Godfrey, I just want to bring it in. Two things I want to say. No, not before, after. Your powers of Lecky too, right? Can't overthrow the powers of a Calypso. You can expatiate or expatiate on that if you want.
Yeah.
Well, there's a certain, I don't want to call it mythology, but there's a certain stigma attached, or a certain,
Lekito.
Yeah, attached to Lekito, a legend attached to Lekito.
Yeah, the folk song, Lekito Jambi Lego Mehano.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that the powers of the ancestor is going to override any magic or any obia or any outer, anything that is strange, because the power of the ancestors represents the voice of the people. So it doesn't matter. The power of the calypso will not overthrow the power, the voice of a calypso, as far as the ancestors are concerned. We're going even beyond, yeah, we're going beyond the earthly focus.
That's a big realm.
Because see, it must be understood, right, that as a Calypsonian, I have no horse in that race, I am neither red, yellow, green, none. As a matter of fact, it's on the record that I've never even attended a political rally in my life. I've never. I don't associate with it. I've never been on a political stage. I've never endorsed a political party. So I really stand as a true independent. So when I'm saying something, it's not an attack anybody individually or personally. I don't know these people personally. I don't know the true story. You know, for example, in some people may say that some of the lyrics, I was hearing that is misinformation. But I want to question that when in the 80s that we used to hear that Chambers was Duncy. That is something that you were hearing on the streets. Doesn't really mean that Chambers is guilty of being Duncy. Doesn't mean he is really Duncy. No, but that was the sentiment of the people. And it was expressed in Calypso. I'm expressing the sentiments in Calypso. I'm not saying that they are guilty of anything or have any evidence or facts. But I'm not there to report for them. I'm here to report for the people. I'm here to amplify the people's concern. I'm not doing PR for any political party organization. I'm doing PR for the people. And if the people have questions and the people have concerns, whether these concerns are factual or not, I'm going to be there to get it out. And it's no anger or animosity or no emotionality. I'm just doing what I'm called to do.
When Kitchener did that song, not one damn sit for them.
But I mean, you get those songs, and that's why I think sometimes and I could maybe jump ahead and speak about the whole issue of adjudicating Calypso. And there was a time in Grenada when there was always some issues on the March Grenada about results, and then you had some Calypsonians who were calling for foreign judges because they claim that Grenadian judges can judge and all this kind of thing like that. But and I'm saying that based on what Kurt has said. There's a lot of localized stuff that the Calypsonians make reference to. And if a judge, for example, doesn't understand it, he writes it down on the table to judge. You have to understand what is happening on the ground. When people say X, what they mean by that. Because it's all part of cultural communication. So it is very important what Kurt said about what is being said on the ground, what people are saying, and of course reporting it. This is very, very, very significant. But
not only that, Godfrey, not only that, and I'm just saying specific to Grenada. If you bring a foreign judge, and I remember people asking me, I don't know whether it was Calypso or I think it was Calypso, some years ago, to get some judges for Grenada. If you bring a judge from, let's say, from Trinidad, or judges from Trinidad to judge Calypso in Grenada, one of the problems, and I think Innocent mentioned it earlier on, is the various regional accents that you hear. So that someone from Sautes, Chantimel, Tivoli, whatever, you might hear them singing a song, and really as foreign airs, you can't understand what they're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that you're in no position to judge. Right?
Somebody singing about Mother Annie do that in poetry. Actually, judge go, who the hell is Mother Annie? What Mother Annie does? You understand?
No. But even here in Grenada, and Val is right. Depending on something, what you hear, you don't have a clue. You don't understand. So it's very important. But let me finally, before we wrap, Panther, Innocent, Kurt, like everything else, there are challenges, right? In Calypso, I mean, we've heard we hear all kind of different stories with Calypsonians. Kurt, let me start with you. In terms of the experience, have you received any pushbacks, let's say from more seasoned Calypsonians as you try to develop your Calypso skills along the way?
if you had asked me that question like 30 years ago, I would tell you yes.
Mm-hmm.
When you grow and you understand that they wasn't pushing you back, they were actually pushing you forward.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually giving you the tools. You know, they weren't pampering you. They were telling you what was necessary. They were doing it in the way that they knew how to do it, that they learned it. It's how you interpreted and how you took it, you know, would result in, you know, how it ends up. So in retrospect, I have never really had any pushback from the Calypso fraternity, from the artists. They were always there to guide me at different stages.
Mm-hmm.
And as human nature, sometimes if you become more successful than them, they will watch you that kind of way. And, you know, but in the heart, there is love, because what it did for you and the advice and stuff that they would have given in the early too. Nah, man.
Mm-hmm.
I have never experienced any setbacks. Only personality clashes, which you get whether you're a doctor, teacher, taxi driver.
Right.
You're gonna get personality clashes with the people that you work with. But that doesn't mean to say that anybody was there trying to hold me back or prevent my success. No way.
But do you think it exists at all?
I think it exists again in human nature in terms of there would be somebody who don't like your head, or who remind them of somebody who they don't like. those things happen in the offices, in the schools, in the hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
It's human nature. So even though it exists, as they say, they talk about a mafia, that there's a soca mafia. A mafia means organized crime. I don't see anything organized about the soca people who are playing their friends here,
Right.
their friend there. If it was a mafia, somebody would have already gotten a Grammy, because it would have been organized. So we have a lot of favoritism, pettiness in terms of people's own personal developments that hamper the success and development of the entire art form. But for me to personalize it and say somebody out for you, nah, man. Nobody can be out for me. God is the boss.
Right. Panther, in your 50 years, how has that been for you?
Well, I have to agree with Cody. Nobody really, they will come at times with the different things and things, but you know, it's all sometimes, especially when the competition, is create that kind of thing among us and things. But some of the greatest love stories in Kaiso have not been told. Calypsonians are loving people, and our stories is not really on this. What you see on the stage is a minuscule of we, you know, on the stage. You see, if you go in the tent and you come off the stage, is a love. Calypsonians are the most loving people I know, and I am proud to be among them. I'm telling you.
Right. Excellent. Innocent?
I always I thought and I still think it, that competition in Calypso creates a lot of problems. Up to last year, while we were doing rehearsals in the tent, I was telling Soasop and that, you know, I wish that they would just have Calypsonians perform and give various awards and so forth. Best lyrical song, best comedy, best, you know, social commentary, whatever. Because, as Panther rightfully say, a number of things come into play. The human element, people's ego, personality clashes, and all these things create an apparent rivalry. But that is just on the stage. You understand? It's just on the stage. Because, okay, let me localize it. Let me personalize it. For example, last year, a whole set of comments were made as to whether Innocent win and whether Scholar beat him and whether Innocent boss, and fans created that. Scholar and I have a close relationship. You understand? At least I hope, because I had nothing against him. You understand? But I always believe that competition is good. The competitors are the problems at times, and the fans create a bigger sin than the Calypsonians. We embrace each other.
Right. Excellent. Kurt, what's your favorite Kurt Allen Calypso?
Powers of belief.
Okay. Right. Panther, what's your yeah? No, I was asking Panther, what's your favorite Panther Calypso?
You're asking a 50-year-old Calypsonian.
That's right, yeah.
That hard, you know. But I like the vibes I get from laughing in the ghetto. It's a nice vibes.
Right.
I like whispering first though. I love whispering.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
I like email. I love email.
I don't know if Panther remember that. I don't remember the year, but I introduced Panther on stage in the Trade Center. And that year he did the misprint. And that misprint, although it was done in a Trinidad context, it was sort of applicable to some things that were happening in Grenada at the time. Misprint is my favorite Panther.
Val, what's your favorite Catalan Calypso?
I don't want to go there.
You sound like somebody here, boy.
I love all the good calypsos, and I would say that maybe Kurt hasn't written his best song as yet. So I'm still waiting for that.
Well, of course.
But what I want to probably insert before we leave, I mean, I want to go back very early. I know we're running out of time, but Panther did mention that association with Kitchener, and Kitchener being very adamant about the program and how much the program has changed now, where it has lost its audience. One, and also that association with Kitchener and Kurt came in there. How has that association helped in terms of the knowledge of composing? Those two things are out there. Before we close up.
All right. Well, I mean,
yeah. Or Kurt.
Yeah.
Panther, I learned from Panther.
Yeah. Well, you know, the greatest stage in Calypso tent and thing is audition. Audition is where you will sift out what you want for your program and things. Audition, but now the audition is a kind of friend business, and this one is something in the zone, and because he's the secretary in the zone, he have to be on the program. His song ain't good, and then the people then come to the show, and then we want to blame the people. Is we have an obligation, a responsibility to produce a program that people will enjoy. You want these people to come and sit down for 2-3 hours and sometimes 4 and spend their hard-earned money to be bored? No, that cannot work. And I always love Kitchener for that. Kitchener is my father, but let me come with something good. I will sit down on that bench. I will sit down on that bench. I'm telling you. And that gives you that, I have impetus is the word, but as a composer, you must be composing and studying Kitchener.
I wonder if he go like that.
Because that man will go to America every year for the Mother's Day show in May, right? And when he come back to Trinidad the end of May, early June, the first thing he asking you, let me hear what you have. You understand? You have to bring your work for correction. You see? So composing has to be tied to whatever, that moves you and shakes you. In my case was Kitchener.
Right.
I'm thinking what you have to go in the audition. Careful what you're writing, boy.
And Pata, let me ask you this: is that condition that you just mentioned, that scenario, is it still happening in Trinidad today?
No. I see some song and program, I don't know what's going on. You understand? And all you can say, because that person that's singing the song, they have a post in the zone, in the something, and they have to sing. They're bound to sing, regardless of what they have to sing. And that is compromising the beauty of a program, definitely.
Right. Kurt, your take on what Val asked.
There's nothing I can add to that, because that is my exact sentiment. I've been saying that. I say it up to tonight, up to the night before. Visiting the tents, that is the major problem, the programming, because that people will sit down and they will go through it, but they ain't coming back. They're not coming back for that.
Right.
They ain't gonna come back, and that's the problem.
Right.
Panther said everything. I don't want to add anything to it.
Composing, Kurt, how has the association with Kitchener and others affected your composing skills, your natural composing skills and so on?
Sometimes it's kind of frightening, because composing for then, and sometimes when I'm composing for an audience that no longer exists, an audience that will give you that energy and understands what is a good Kaiso, who can critical, the audience itself. And that is non-existent now. As Panda said, you have a friend and a friend of a friend, and anybody could make the 10th song, and they bore you down to the end, and you know, the thing about it, right, Val? In the years gone by, when you study what Panda is saying about Kitchener and Jazzy and all these people, they knew how to bring people. Calypsonians never have any history of bringing out people, you know. We have the history of entertaining the people who brought out the people. See, like Frank Martino, the promoters, Jazzy Panton. Right now, the Calypso fraternities, the Calypsonians doing the promoting for the 10 people. That upside down. We have no history of bringing out a promotion. So unless we give the promoters the job to do the promotion, then give the artists the job to entertain and get people to come and select proper auditions. I know these kind of auditions you already know when you tent before the audition start, you know, you just come
Yes.
programming. If we get Panther, if we really get back to proper programming,
Yes.
that we see in that
No, half, 3/4. Because good, you will know. You in the review with me, and you know the tent is still out every night.
Yes.
And it's selling out. Why? People coming back. People coming back because the program's so nice. They're coming back, and they're telling a friend and all, and they're coming back.
Yes.
No, they ain't coming back. If they come once, you're lucky. They ain't coming back.
My old mother went to the tent, start machine going back certain because she liked this song, she liked that song, but it's long a whole hour or 2 hours to hear.
Just to get yes, that is a problem.
And straight in YouTube and play it all day.
So clearly there's work to be done. There's work to be done.
Yes.
There's work to be done. Finally, quickly, there are a lot of young Calypsonians who are coming on stream. Was it the year before? We had this young guy winning the crown. Is it that Tizaya, his name? Then you had people. You have people like Shireen. What's her name? Ashe. Karen Ashe.
Karen, yeah.
Yeah. And we see Aaron Duncan. So there are a lot of young people, coming in. And I'm wondering, is there or are there things in place to ensure that these young people coming in can, maintain that standard so we can keep the thing going? Or as Val says, they come in for the purse?
Clearly, they are not entering the stage as Kurt entered or Panther. So you see the difference in terms of the generation.
Right.
When Panther, he entered as a composer, being seen by Scrunter, introduced to Kitchener, mentorship. Kurt is the same thing. Kitchener saw him, anointed him, brought him in. His composing skills developed. He learned the craft.
Right.
People are coming from a junior level into competition. They are not even trying to write anything, and I think that does not augur well for the continuance and the development of the art form.
Okay.
So you need to nurture, but Tuco probably the body needs to have a very broad discussion about that. Where is it going if all the young people who are singing are just looking to purchase songs?
Okay.
Well, we was young once, Could I tell you, he started in the junior, the transition to the young king.
You said we were young once, correction, right? I am still young.
You crazy?
No. Listen. Hey. Crazy changed his name, The last time I heard him, he said he's now Edwin was young. So he's not.
I mean, seriously, we come into the Calypso, Kurt came in, I came in, and you must come in at some point. You come in young, and you come from a home. So there are some little elements that are not seen with the young ones coming in. They come into the tent and they won't even say good night. You understand? Yeah. They come with that kind of brashness, like them start Calypso. There are people that singing Calypso long before you, and you have to respect them. When Cotalian came to the review, he's a respectful young man, so it was easy for Kitchener and Pretender to hold his hand and show him the ropes. But no, you can't even hold the hand, much more. to show them rules. You understand?
Well, listen.
I think the parents have to instill in the children proper training. You come into an art form, have respect for people, say good night, say excuse me. And those little things go a long way.
Panther, that is explained by one of your colleagues in the review, you know. You're too old for Kaiso.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, listen, we out of time. I mean, I could go on, chatting all night. That's what Kaiso does, you know. But we have to leave it here. Of course, we definitely invite you guys back so we can continue to talk, because Kaiso talk can't done. Kaiso talk cannot done. So, gentlemen, final words. Kurt, your final words.
Well, gentlemen, it's all for the love of Calypso. I'm very appreciative of this program and the opportunity again to share knowledge, share information. Keep up the good works. Send congratulations. That's the first time I get to tell you congratulations.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, man, and all the best for the season ahead. Val,
wait, you could say it twice, you know. You could say congratulations twice.
Congratulations. Val, thanks for the persona last Bajan. Yeah, thanks for the love. And you know how it is, Panther. Thanks for the love.
All the time, man, all the time.
And the host of the program, thanks for the opportunity to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, thank you, Kurt. Panther, final words?
Yeah, man, I want to thank everyone for this beautiful experience we had tonight. As I said from the onset, I was supposed to go to a rehearsal tonight, and I blanked that to come to this because Godfrey, you and Valton, all you ever showed me in this life was respect and real professionalism. And there's no way I could have turned down this interview tonight to go into a rehearsal. What happened? You understand? I get to meet Innocent again. He put me up in the trade center. Thanks for that. And I want to congratulate you on your victory. And as you say, victory is to come and whatnot.
Yes.
So that is me. That is me.
Right. All the best. Thank Panther. Innocent, your final words.
Well, I want to say a very special thank you, Godfrey, for inviting me to the program. It's been a pleasure meeting with the Bads, the Bajans, the final Bajans in Kaiso, Kurt. Pink Panther, all the respect goes to you. Valton, in as much as I don't know you much, but in listening to you speak, I realize that you're somebody that I should get to know better, because over the years, as I said, I was focusing on emceeing, but now I think I'm too old to just stand up and make people laugh. So I go, I'm going to hold on to Calypso for a while, and we'll share some stages together.
All you see what a crown could do.
Well, of course.
Val, your final words.
Well, I just want to, congratulate everyone who came on board and for all the things that you said and shared tonight. A lot of things came out. We could have gone on for ages.
Yes.
And this discussion continues because I think it is important for us to speak out. It is important that this is being recorded for posterity and so on. And we have to always be there for one another and keep this community going, to understand that where Calypso came from, and as Kurt mentioned, that Bajan, the voice of the yard, is so critical to the continuing development of Calypso, because it is not that Calypso has reached its pinnacle and it cannot go any further. The music can still do so much. The music is still growing, and we have to continue to believe in that and do what is necessary for the art form to continue to grow. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Val. Thank you so very much, Panther. Thank you very much, Kurt Allen. Thank you, and I wish you all the best as you get ready to face the judges for the competition. We're looking forward, and I hope you can do it again. Yes. Yes. Innocent, my colleague, congratulations again, yes. And it was nice having you. And it was the first, but not the last.
Of course not.
Right, definitely.
Of course.
So, gentlemen, thank you all very much. Our listeners, our viewers, we thank you so very much for staying with us. You can join us again next Wednesday, same time, for Kaiso Talk. Have a good night. All the best.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Reach home safe.
Yes, indeed.
All right.